Welcome to this week's episode
From the Wings.
I liked that. I was like, wow, that was so good. So, Rebecca.
Yes, Reba.
What do you do with your free time? Like, do you...
Pickleball.
Well, that is true.
Love pickleball.
What do you do in the car?
Oh, I either call people or listen to podcasts. What about you?
Ooh, I'm not a big podcast fan.
Oh.
Because I usually am listening to books.
Okay.
However, there are a few podcasts that really interest me.
Ooh.
I'm a big fan of Hillary Rushford. But I have recently stumbled across something that I'm super excited about. So if I say the name Stephanie Block,
Yeah.
do you know who that is?
No.
Oh, come on. Yes, you do.
Is she, okay, she's theater.
Theater, yes. Actress. Singer.
Wicked?
Yes.
Okay.
So she was one of the Alphabas. She was one of the ones
yes.
that
Yes, it's like Adina Menzel, Stephanie.
That's my order of where I would put it. Yes. So during COVID, the big word that we talk about a lot, because it seems like life is before COVID and during COVID and after.
Yes.
You know, that's how we divide everything up right now. But she has a friend whose name is Mary Lee Fairbanks, who
Adorable.
is not a name that I'm familiar with.
Because I was going to say, Glinda? I don't know.
But I love the way you're like, oh yeah, that's great, adorable. You were just there with me. No matter what it was that I said, you were there.
I'm here.
But I didn't know who she was. I had to look her up and find out who she is. And she's a little bit more well-known as a producer and a writer more than a performer, even though she was in a Broadway musical. The name of it was I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change, which seems like something that would be really just about appropriate for us to watch, right? It's like, I love you, you're perfect. Now change for me,
funny.
right? So I have no idea. I've never seen it. I don't know what it's about, but it seems like it'd be fun. So during this time, when artists all across the country were really literally starving, because if you're a creative person, being shut down was hard because you had nothing to create. And so there weren't new television shows, there weren't plays you could go to, there wasn't anything that you could do artistically for yourself unless it was like single, like writing things at home, whatever. So during this time, Mary Lee called Stephanie and said, how are you doing with all of this? What are you doing to keep your creative side going? And they started talking about this podcast. And so it is now in its third year of existence, its third season. Wow. I don't know how I didn't hear about it the first two. Yeah. But the name of it is Stages.
Oh, that's
and how they
From the Wings. Stages. Collab.
Oh, Stephanie. So this is what I love about it. This is what they say in the description. It says, go behind the scenes and beyond the resume for stories of inspiration, fear, parenting, spirituality, and the creative process. Stages podcast looks at the humanity behind the artistry. Love where you are now with Stages podcast. I think it just is really interesting to hear the backstage story. Yeah. And like she said, beyond the resume. Wow. But there was recently an interview that Backstage Magazine did with Stephanie Block. Cute. They just asked her a few questions. And so I don't know. I thought you guys might be interested in hearing that. So they interviewed her and they asked her a few questions. They asked her what her number one piece of advice for theater auditions was. Ooh. So I think this might be something that really interests you at home. So here's the deal, she says. There are tons of talented people. There is only one you. So when you walk through that door, you have to be confident. You have to be grounded, and you have to be you, not desperate you, not needy you, not pleading you, just comfortable you. Wow. So coming from a director, I think that is beautiful advice. And if you can take it a little bit further and realize that comfortable you may not appeal to every director and every part. Yep. And that's okay. Yep.
as the director, you are building a house and you have a vision for the colors.
Right.
You have a vision for the rooms. And just because someone else wants to come in and be a part of that vision, if they don't fit, it's not you hating them.
No.
It's not you thinking they're any less than. It's just you don't fit the vision for this house, for this role,
and
for
it could
this
be
show.
anything, right? It could be
Yep.
that my guy who's playing the part happens to be 70.
Yep.
And he fits.
Yep.
Like his part should be 70 because that's the way it was written. But I had no older women except one tryout, and she was really good.
Yep.
And my 17-year-old was really good too.
But
it's
17
going
and
to be a
70.
little creepy to have you be married to a 70-year-old
Yeah.
guy. So then she said, do you have tips for narrowing down your types to 3 because she's getting headshots soon? So for people who are getting headshots.
Okay.
She says it's less about the hair and more about the eyes. And I love this because she says your eyes have to tell a story. The eyes have to stay soft and alive. And she says to wear something really easy, like a white, crisp shirt or something else that shows your personality, but it's not about like something that shows our personality.
Interesting.
And so I thought that was really interesting as well, because I think that also is something that I look for on stage, is when somebody is interacting, I want them to still be communicating with each other. And a lot of times
It's in the eyes.
actors are not able to do that. And so they're so in their own head thinking about their own line that they don't really connect with the person that they're talking to, and it shows.
Yeah.
So sometimes I have to go, okay, now I'll go do that whole scene.
As if
and
that
really
person's
listen to each other when you're talking, and it'll make it so much more of a believable scene. So I was thinking recently, because we're going to do our favorite episodes coming up when we hit our 100th episode. But I was thinking last night when I was just saying, would my favorites be how far we've come, and how in the beginning I was so afraid to look in the camera and I was so intimidated by it because I like the one-on-one communication. I love looking you in the eye and seeing what you were thinking, right? And I wish I could do the same for all of you at home, because eyes are so important.
Wow.
And so I love the fact that she makes that even in your headshot, when you're getting your picture taken, you need to be thinking something that needs to show through to the eyes.
Which is so helpful, because I think whenever we get a picture taken, we're thinking about the wrong things, and it shows on your face.
Right.
Like it's crazy how your face communicates that. And a lot of people are like, oh, I hate the way I take pictures. And you don't hate the way you take pictures, you hate how you feel when you're taking a picture, and it shows on your face. So like, I love taking pictures, and it shows on my face.
Yes. Then they ask her for one last musical theater advice. I just thought that it was really interesting to hear her advice. One last piece that she said about something that you need to consider about your audition process is that many times it's about the experience and not necessarily about what part you get.
Yes.
So she said it's really important to start. It's all about the people you're going to meet along the way. It's you might be putting together a project that later on that connection is going to mean something to you. It's all about getting in theater and keep going in theater, to just keep yourself moving. So you might not get the part, but that's okay. You hone some skill just in being prepared for the audition and the feedback that you get.
Yeah.
And I think that would be my number one thing too. I think that in a small community like ours, we get so emotional about it that we take it so personally when it's not really meant to be personal at all. Figure out, know yourself.
Yeah, and auditioning is a huge part of that. So even auditioning, to put it like just to audition and putting that on your, hey, I'm auditioning for experience. Thank you so much. I think, it's very beneficial.
100%. It will make you better. You will learn something every single time you do it.
Yep, if you choose to.
So I always think it's important, and one of the things we talk about is like an idle mind is the devil's playground, right? So to speak. So if you can make sure that you're reading the right things, that you're watching the right things, that you're keeping your mind focused on good, healthy things, I think that we're better people because of that.
Amen.
And I do think that our God is a creative God, and He wants us to keep us creating as artists. So if you want to check out another podcast or something to listen to when you're in the car or getting ready in the morning, I fully recommend that you check out the Stages podcast with Stephanie Block and Mary Lee Fairbanks. And let us know what you think, if that was a valuable recommendation, if you learned something from Stephanie's advice and how you're going to apply it in your own life. Thank you guys so very much for watching, and let us know what other things that would interest you and what you would like to hear about, and we would love to investigate that for you.
Until next time, this is just me
And me.
talking to you
From the wings.